GM. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Can you hear us?
Hey guys.
Loud and clear.
Right.
Hey man, is anyone else joining? I just saw Urke. He was trying to log in, but I think he had some issues. Let's wait for him for a second. Is Uroš joining from Novi Sad? Do you guys know?
No, he's not. Hasn't written anything. We'll ping him on Discord.
Could be the issue, like traffic jam issues, given the current situation in Serbia with everything that's been going on. How are you guys doing? Artie, you just said you've been to the protests in here in Niš.
Yeah.
What's the situation like?
Yeah, there was a not prime minister. I'm not sure what the title is. So she was with her party members. I am not sure whether she arrived or not, but there were a bunch of people that threw exit her, and so there was a police that made like a cordon around the building. They're going to meet like 500 meters, and then across the street, people used like slingshots to throw exit them. It's pretty funny. Yeah. So but all the people who joined their meeting were like hit with at least one egg.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, I can hear a baby in someone's background.
yeah.
Like this is a this is a kid friendly stream. Is that Marta?
Yeah, Marta. She haven't cried all day, but now she started.
Yeah, she's making up for the rest of the day. Yeah. And anyway, but just to give a little bit of a context, I don't want to spend time on this, but just to give a little bit of a context, like there's a massive protest going on in Serbia. Like I think there's like 1.5 million people in the streets of Serbia in every single city, like in total, and people have been protesting for a couple of months now. And by the way, a crazy thing is that Serbia has like 6 point something million people, and there's like 1.5 million people protesting. So it's pretty wild, and we are in the south, so south is like even something crazier. But anyway, how's it? Are there any changes in Belgrade? Nev, I know you're there.
Well, yeah, I'm in the middle of it actually. There are protests
I
every
know.
day. We're also making a lot of noise every day, 7:30 p.m.
Yes,
Yeah,
I didn't know about that, and my girlfriend was like, when we did, both of us didn't know, and we were like, "What the hell is going on?" But apparently, there's this new trend to kind of show your dissatisfaction with the government by like going onto your balcony or terrace or a window, and then just like doing whatever, just yelling, I guess, and knocking on the like your pans and kitchen whatever things.
yeah, but just for the context, it's not just a political protest. We
Mhm.
are asking for justice for 15, that is, as of today, 16 killed after the canopy collapsed. So
Yeah.
it's a bigger movement than politics, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But I guess like the politics is the underlying kind of root and cause of everything. But yeah, like fun fact, I never tweet about anything politics related because I don't like it, and usually when you do, you get spammed by bots or whatever. And I wrote like a very nice post on my Twitter, on my account, on my cap account, and it, for whatever reason, it blew the hell up. I think it has like 1.3 million views. And for the past like 7 days, ever since I posted it, like my account literally is unusable. It's like messages and notifications after notification. It's a bit crazy. But yeah. Anyway, is anyone else joining? Let me see our Discord.
Yeah, Urosh has some issues for some reason, so he's receiving like an error when he tries to join the restream. So who knows why that's happening.
Let me send him a new invite link. Oh, check this out. Like the link changed after we went live, so that might be the issue. Oh, that's probably the issue. Yeah, but this is my first time using Restream, so yeah. Apologies. I just wrote to him in English. Yeah, by the way, our entire team is from Serbia, and So even though we speak English like on a daily basis, and for some of us, I guess it's like better than just speaking Serbian. Um,
Do you maybe want to introduce the team members, even those that are not here?
y-
Just give them a shout out.
yes, he just joined. Yeah, yeah, I can. And yeah, this is the main reason why I wanted to have everyone here, I guess. It's just for everyone to get to know to meet the Namespace team. I don't know if do you guys want to like just introduce yourself, or whatever what you do in Namespace and something like that, or should I just like run through how everyone is?
Yeah, it's better for you to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so like a fun story. Like the year ago when we raised that grant from ENS, there was only Artie and me and another friend of ours, Bran. He was from Canada, but after a couple of months, he just dropped off. And ever since then, like me and Artie have been working on this, and I handle everything like from the product marketing, sales, biz dev, socials, all that side of things. And then Artie handles like literally everything else. So like heads down to him for building everything that we have with Namespace. And yeah, just a couple of months ago, I guess, like just out of sheer need to keep up with our own growth and just demand and everything that we've built that has to be maintained, like we have like a constant stream of new clients and people. We had to bring on more people. And yeah, ever since then, who's the first one that joined? It was Urosh, and he's an intern. We got him fresh off the call from the college, not a single day of experience, so we trained him. We everything ENS related. After that, who was it? Was I think Arti, you brought on
Yeah, I think
Urke?
Luca and Uros joined around the same time, so it's maybe like a month difference. But I think both of them were here for, I think, 2 or 3 months, right, Luca? Like I think from December. I
Yeah,
remember it was December when I sent like an onboarding documents, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think yeah, I think all like everyone joined in December, including Nevena. And Nevena, big like special shout out to you, man, because we brought her on like as a like a marketing BD team, and then I just like put everything on her that I couldn't, I didn't have the time to get to. So and a good thing, like this is like a I feel like this is a like a hiring hack. When you're hiring someone, hire someone who has a founder experience, right, as she does, because I know if like whatever I throw at her, she'll just figure it out, and I usually do that. And I'm sorry, and and thank you. I feel like this is long overdue.
No, but like, thank you for the kind words. We were joking around that we couldn't figure out what my role at Namespace is, so we settled on intern because I don't have that much experience in Web3 other than being a user, right? So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to learn here, and I've learned a lot, and I'm happy if I've managed to, support the Namespace in ways I could. With my
Of
skills,
course.
right? So yeah.
Of course, yeah. You absolutely killed it, man. Like from writing stuff and even bringing new clients to like everything. You killed it in like 3 months. Um, it's almost sad that you're leaving us. Maybe I can persuade you by the end of this stream to stay with us.
Like as you said it yourself, I'm a founder. There are things waiting for me, but I'll always be here on the sidelines, like lurking, helping out, and so on. So I'm around always as a
Yeah.
good ghost. Yeah.
Thanks so much for that. Yeah. So just a quick round of like a shout out to everyone. Arti, like you're just the man. You build and maintain everything. Luca, you absolutely killed it on the front end side. Urke, who's not here, he's our backend developer. Nikola, I think he's gonna join later on. He said he's stuck in traffic because of whatever is happening in Belgrade. He's our DevOps guy, one of the smartest, person that I had the pleasure to work with. And Nevena, who absolutely smashed it on everything, from throwing like marketing side of things to you, to throwing like building Canva designs and whatnot, to everything else. So thanks so much, guys. I really, really appreciate every single one of you. And yeah, hopefully this year we get to scale our team a little bit more. and go full time, every single one of us, and absolutely continue killing it for ENS. And yeah, that's that's my that's my line. And cheers. Um, so where are we? So I just wanted to like freestyle and jam for the first 45 minutes. And I wanted to have you guys for like 5, 10, 15 minutes. I know like it's Friday, it's 7 p.m. So whoever has to go and jump off, feel free to. Me and Artie are gonna stay. And for the next like I think like 30 minutes, I wanted to give a like a stroll through, like a time, and just give a every like mention every single highlight that we've had as a namespace team in the previous year working on ENS. And this is a very random idea that came to my mind. I was like, what is this highlights section in your account profile on X? And as it turns out, like that section right there serves for you to just like keep everything organized. Like if you literally want to pin all of your highlights that you're doing and announcing or anything else. And it turns out I was highlighting stuff that we were building and shipping for the first 6 months, and after that, like I guess I forgot. And then yeah, shortly after that I was like, how cool would it be if we just like jumped live on stream and give everyone like a walkthrough of everything that we've done and we've gone through like building on ENS, and just share everything that we've learned along the way and just leave it all out there. The service provider program is renewing this year, and hopefully all of our lessons will be helpful to someone else, whoever decides to build on ENS. And yeah, that was just my idea, and I thought, why not do it? Hey, so here we are. But yes, thank you guys. If you want to jump off, feel free to. If you want to stick around, it's your choice. Once again, thanks everyone for building with us, and yeah, hopefully we get to do it for years to come.
Woo, Pumpai.
Pumpai. Do you guys hear? Like, can you hear outside? You don't?
Do you mean on your side, in your voice?
No. I'm just comment. Like, do you hear the people at the? It's 7 p.m. It's 7:15. Then they've
Oh,
started.
right. I forgot about that. Yeah, I don't hear it here.
You don't?
No.
You're lucky, man. My building is wild. People are going crazy. But anyway, let's switch gears here. Okay, so this is our highlight section, and I wanted to just walk through all of this. I don't know, like I tend to talk a lot, so you guys feel free to cut me off if I'm spending way too much time on stuff. But yeah, where should we start? I don't know. By the way, this is like this should have been like in chronological some kind of order, but it's not because I went back and then highlighted things. So I think the order is sort of messed up. So this is not the furthest thing that happened. As you can see, this is 2024, and there are like pins from 2023, and you'll find some pins in 2023 in here as well. But anyway, so what was this? Do you remember when we built like the first proof of concept for base, for
Yeah,
people to?
yeah, sure. So I'm gonna add like a bit of a story of how we started. So we started developing on ENS in times when the name wrapper was not even a thing. So you had like you remember like the old ENS where the subnames that you issue are not even like an NFT. I'm not sure what they was like. If they were just a record on the ENS
No,
register.
they were, but initially they were ERC 721, and then they've matured into 1155. So the old ones that had been registered prior to launching name wrapper are still ERC 721, and now every new name that you register is 1155. Yeah, you
Yeah,
joined
I
one year,
remember
yeah.
that we started in the times when the name wrapper was coming, like, and then we were preparing for that. And I remember like that was like 2.5 years ago, maybe more,
Yeah.
when both me and Brian were not sure like what the DNS is like, and then we were investigating like where do we fetch the data from, and so on and so forth. But so the L2 subname proof of concept was like I believe it's meant for, this is the first time that we did the L2 subnames, and we said okay, we'll just release this as a, like an open source repo. If someone wants to use that, they can to deploy their own app, and then we use the same code to deploy the I think was it the God based on
Yeah,
the
God-based campaign. Yeah, I'll
yeah.
talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, but basically the code that we use to develop the functionality for the God base, where you can mint subnames on base and they work as regular subnames. We just created like, okay, this is the repo. If someone wants to do the same for your own name, you can use the repo to do that, right? So that's
Yeah,
how
yeah. I think this one is a little outdated. We haven't updated it with. I'm not even sure
I'm
if
not sure
there's
if it
anything to
exists
update.
at all. Can you check if it exists?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna go into that. It was like a year ago. There's like so many things happen for both ENS and Ethereum and Base. So this was just like a proof of concept that we launched at the time, just to see if anyone is gonna use it. But this kind of led to something super fun, which is, Base had this on-chain summer campaign throughout the entire summer, maybe even throughout the entire year. Base guys are absolutely, super chads, but specifically throughout the summer, they were inviting developers to build on Base. They were like, they just had so many initiatives. It's even insane to kind of count. And they had this on-chain summer, sort of like an umbrella that covered like every single one of those initiatives, I guess. And for the on-chain summer, we were thinking like, how can we make this fun and how can we make it like a degen friendly? So we basically, at the time, like we found some of the craziest meme coins, but also like I did some due diligence. Like I didn't just slap anyone on there. I think these meme coins are like legit communities. I shouldn't do air quotes. They are legit communities, especially like degen and base god and some of these. Yeah, so I did some due diligence and found them, and then we hired someone to build this like a little thing, and we said like, okay, let's have god based yet campaign, which was like a kind of rip-off of got milk, I guess. And yeah, it got some traction, and we did a lot of things with it. We had some fun with this entire campaign, where you could like just mint a subname, and like you mint, for example, cap.godbased.eth, and it was stored on base. It was like a fully functional resolvable subname. And yeah, we just did it for fun. We auto assigned like the pictures and whatnot, avatars, that is. And it was super fun. I think I have like a thread in here somewhere about the entire on-chain campaign, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I have like a thread summary of all of our actions throughout this entire like on-chain summer campaign. Yeah, but for those of you who don't know, like we proactively work with community. If someone from the community has like a really cool subname idea that they want to launch, uh, they can just fill out the subname interest form, and you can find that on our website. And yeah, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you have a cool idea, and we've had like a lot of people reach out with some cool ideas, and it's super fun to actually build these sort of on the side, like as little side quests. Um, yeah, this was me being like super happy about Widget. And for those of you who don't know, like this is there's a story about this. Like we have this kind of little cool products. We call it ENS Widget, and it basically allows anyone to start minting subnames from their own websites or from like 20 different websites if they wanted to. The only thing you have to do is go to Namespace platform, list your name. If you want to sell subnames on Ethereum, you list it on Ethereum. If you want to do it on Base, you list it on Base, Optimism, and so forth. Once you list it, you generate the like a little script for the widget, and you add that script into your website or your blog or anywhere else. And it allows all of the like I guess visitors on your website to mint a subname. There's like a little pop-up that appears, and they can mint a subname from your website. And we built this because like once we launched app.namespace.ninja, people were like, okay, this is fun, but I want to sell subnames from my website. And we were thinking like, okay, how do we do that for people who don't have any technical knowledge or expertise? And this is something that we came up with. There's a on docs.namespace ninja, there is a tutorials and demos section, and I think you can find a bunch of cool stuff in here. But I think there's one for integrate ENS widget on your website, so you can see how you can do it in like 8 minutes. I think this demo specifically covers the entire listing process as well, which takes the most amount of time for you to set everything up. But it's super fun, super cool, and like this kind of removes the barrier, only for developers. They can launch their own, kind of minting websites or whatever. But yeah, this is pretty cool, and I'm super excited about this. I think we have more than 100 of them running, and it's so cool to see that we have, like, I think it's more than 100. I'm pretty sure it's more than 100, which means there are like 100 people out there that are selling subnames or giving them away for free. And this has happened like with like zero marketing, zero like our efforts. As you know, we just ship stuff, and we have to work more on promoting ourselves, I guess.
And
And
marketing, yeah.
yes,
Yes.
we have to work more on that. And I had Nevena tell me that on number of occasions that I should build less and market more, if that's correct way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's keep going. What's this? Yeah, this is just a shill post for Coinbase. It's like insane that there's an estimate that we have around 15 million off-chain subnames. When you think about it, like, that's just nuts. And there are, like, I think right now there are less than 2 million ENS names registered. So like, I think subnames are the real deal here. And specifically, like, off-chain subnames are super cool because they give the full kind of control and ownership and flexibility of like permissions and whatnot to the owner, and they're usually issued by kind of trustworthy companies. So that's something worth mentioning and noting. Look at us being all happy for having 1,000 followers. Oh, this is Privy. Like, we've had like a little talk with Privy team, and this came from, do you remember, Ardi? This came from someone who's using Privy, and I guess they were fans of ENS. They said like, oh, how cool it would be if we had ENS here. And then Privy did something with ENS. I can't remember what it was, and they did a Twitter space, and I got to talk to, I think it was Henry, his name was. I think he's the CEO and co-founder of Privy. I just asked him a question on that Twitter space, and I said like, would you mind if we connected to talk? And I think we did. I mean, I don't think we did, and we talked. But that conversation kind of went cold a little bit. So maybe this is something we should revisit, because we thoroughly enjoy Privy, and Privy is like, I guess, one of the best companies in Web3. I guess I think they had fairly recently a very successful raise as well. So it's really nice to see. Oh, do you remember this?
Yeah, so it was for the ETC, right?
Yeah, it was for ETH. It was prior to ETHCC, and then I think Broke gave them to us during ETHCC, right? This is me. Here's mine.
Yeah, yeah. But basically, we had a platform, right, where you can, the way you pay for the way you order this, you are actually minting a subname,
Look at
right?
this. Yeah, you're essentially ordering and paying for these like ENS keychains by minting a subname. So it ended up being like a collection of subnames for all the people who minted their keychain. And these keychains are super cool because they come with like, they have an NFC chip. Oh, here's you. They have an NFC chip, and you can just program it to do whatever you want. Maybe when you're giving out like pops or whatever else. So it's pretty cool. This is like one of the like fun little side projects that we did as well. Shout out to Broke, by the way, cool guy. Do you remember this one? This is a fun story. We submitted our Q2 report, and by the way, this was initially for service provider program. um, you weren't obligated to submit Q1, Q2, your quarterly reports about your progress and KPIs and whatnot. Now in this like next version is mandatory. So initially, like we started doing it every quarter, and for Q2 we submitted a month early because we shipped so many things, and I guess like I miscalculated, moron. But yeah, but anyway, this is a reminder we built custom solutions. This is our integration with Web3.js, seeing a little spike in usage. I think I'm gonna have to be a bit quicker because in 15 minutes we're gonna start having guests join us. Um, oh, big shout out to WebHash, super cool guys. They build a no code centralized website builder, and you can connect your websites to their domains. We did a partnership with them to make it easy for all people who launch websites there to enable subname registrations. So shout out to HID. Subname interest form again for whatever reasons. Oh, check this out. So how can I stream? I don't think you can hear that because it just blasts them on my in my headphones. But we organized together with Blockful team. We organized a ENS event during ETH Belgrade, and we organized this like in a couple of days because I heard that the man himself, Alex and Danny, were attending ETH Belgrade. I guess they were invited to be as speakers, and I was like, we cannot have two service providers in Belgrade at the same time and not throw an ENS event. So yeah, we hosted one, and it was pretty cool. We got to talk a lot about. I think they talked about Chainlink and connection with ENS, and I spoke about just ENS and growth. And that was super fun. Lots of good people, lots of good vibes, good energy, good food, and hopefully we get to do this again because ETH Belgrade is the official partner for Namespace as well. So looking forward to building that with them. Oh, who's this handsome guy? Oh, this is like super cool campaign that we did for our t-shirts, and people absolutely enjoy them. I could have maybe ironed this t-shirt, but other than that, like I think this is like a very nice like a I don't know what is it like what do you call this in English, like a slogan or a message, or like that ETH is bigger than 0x, so you should name all of your
Yeah,
wallets.
more like an equation, math equation. Yeah, but just when you say ironing, you should remember that we had like 50 t-shirts in our
Yeah,
backpacks. So yeah,
yeah, and we met. This is the first time we met a lot of people here. We met the guys from Vision, but we met all the crew from Vision at ETHCC. Yeah, it was ETHCC. Um, yeah, not ETH Belgrade. We just met Furion at ETH Belgrade. Yeah. By the way, Vision guys, just beautiful people, super cool founders. Every single one of them, just nicest people. Yeah, shout out to Vision. Um, anyway, this is our talk. Just highlights something. Integrate widget, the demo. This is how the widget looks like, by the way. And this little guy appears in the bottom right of your screen, so you can mint any kind of subname. This is the announcement for that. Yeah, this is the section where I highlighted just a bunch of features that we have. Like underrated, underappreciated feature that we have is basically for token gating, minting for communities. So if you are, for example, like a PFP collection or someone like that, you can literally allow all of your community members to mint subnames from namespace and from your .eth name by and enable token gating. So you would just like copy and paste your collections contract, and only people who have your NFT would be able to mint those subnames, which is really cool feature, and I liked it a lot. But I feel like it didn't get as much traction and as it should have. I'm having troubles with King's English. But yeah, it will in the future for sure. Yeah, then whitelisting. We have a whitelisting option. I'm not going to go through all of these features. If you want to see all of the features, just go to app.namespace, go to the account, find your ENS name that you want to mint, go to manager and go to list it. Yeah, if your name is not wrapped, you're going to have to wrap it. But once you do, you can list it. You can set the minting price for subnames. You can set the price based on length. You can set different subname prices, for example, for numbers only, for emoji only. We have a bunch of cool features. This works like a reservation slash whitelisting. So for example, if I say okay cap, no one will be able to mint cap. If you have, for example, last names, which I know sell for like a lot, and you want to issue first names, you can reserve, for example, them, but make them mintable and say John is mintable for, oh man, come on, let's do 7 Ethereum. Mark is going to be the same, or anything like this is just like a fun little feature that we have. We have different types of whitelisting, and we have token gated minting, as I said. So app.namespace.ninja, go nuts, have fun, play around. I'm not going to go through all of the features that we have. Oh, by the way, and if you want to, let me see some here. Once you list the name, if you go to widget, you can create the widget that I was just talking about. So you would essentially just create it and choose from which name you want to issue subnames, and click update, and you're gonna get this little script that you can just like copy and paste in your code, and the widget will pop up. It's super simple. Again, you have tutorials on docs.namespace.ninja, and the same thing applies for frames. We have the default frame, which automatically kind of just generates a frame when you select the name from which you want to issue subnames. And by the way, this was our like major Farcaster integration that we've done. And yeah, I'm gonna maybe talk about that. Pretty sure that we have that in the highlights. But anyway, we also have like a very detailed tutorial for this as well. Yeah, let's get back to it. We have 10 more minutes. Oh, look at this Farcaster demo. Here it is. So you can find it. You can find it in our tutorials. What else? Let's see. Highlights. Oh, this is pretty cool. I don't know if you guys know, but MetaMask recently kind of upgraded their resolution process. So initially, like any other wallet, pretty much, they were resolving your Ethereum address of your name, Ethereum address record of your name or subname. But as you can see, I'm not saying that they've done this for us. ENS Labs has worked with MetaMask for a very long time, and these take like when you're big as MetaMask, things take time and you have to prioritize. But we had this like a feature request that has gotten like a lot of I guess popularity, and it's pretty cool to see. We basically said that resolution should happen based on the network you're connected to. So when you're connected to Base and you have Base record in your name, MetaMask should resolve to Base address record, not Ethereum record, as other wallets do it. I think it's safe to do it on Ethereum, like other wallets do it, but it leaves a little bit of like a maybe 0. Whatever percent room for error if someone uses Ethereum names and subnames to their full extent and takes advantage of all kind of features like multi-chain address records. But yeah, I'm really happy about this. That this has gotten a lot of traction, and it's really nice to see that MetaMask actually did exactly that. They've integrated it. So now when you're typing your ENS name, they resolve the address record on the chain that you're connected to. Yeah, these are some of the cool frames that we did for some people. We minted a lot of cool subnames from frames as well. Oh, this is the extension that we've done for Tatum. I'll yeah, never mind. We did like I wanted to talk about that. Okay, I'll talk about it because I think this is like very important. There's like how should I say, like blockchain tools and service providers and like identity service providers, like all of these people that are providing specific set of services. They have their core offering, but they also want to capture a lot more of the market and expand their offering. So they started launching essentially, let's call them marketplaces of like add-ons or plugins or whatever else. And what these things essentially do is they allow other people to kind of plug into their kind of service offering and allow them to get like immediately get exposure to a lot of developers. And I think this is a really good like a distribution strategy for everyone who wants to take advantage of that, specifically for ENS, because I think in order for us to have human readable names everywhere, ENS has to be present uh, everywhere where developers are building, and this is a really cool thing to actually do. And I think it's one of the coolest things that we've done, and we'll probably capitalize more on it in the upcoming years, because more and more like these companies are becoming bigger and having their own like a side marketplace or like side ecosystem where people can kind of deploy their apps, and their builders, whoever they're using their products for, like building like whatever games, wallets, doesn't matter. They can just take advantage of these like add-ons or extensions or plugins, call them whatever you will. And this is super cool, and I would encourage future service providers to do this, even if this is not their core focus. If you know someone who runs something like this, just go and plug ENS there. If you need any help, let us know. If you need like someone to help you with subnames or something like that. But anyway, blog posts, frames, Tatum integration. Yeah, this is the official integration that we've done with Tatum. Shout out to Tatum, by the way, super cool guys as well. Let's see, we have 5 more minutes. Audits, frames. Yeah, this is the first frame that we've launched, and it was like super popular as well. I think this gotten like a lot of views, didn't it? It's not working now. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it did really well. People were crazy about frames when they first launched. Quarterly reports. Yeah, so the same thing we've done with Tatum, we did with Web3.js, and we did it with QuickNode as well. And yeah, this is super cool. Let's see, live on mainnet. When was this? Oh, okay, March. This was our like V1 version of our app. Oh, here's Bran. Did you ever? When was the last time you heard from Bran?
Well, I'm not sure, probably like 4 or 5 months. So I haven't heard from him the day he left. I think it was November or October last year.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him. We should reach out to him. Oh yeah, this is the results
Yep.
from the first. Yeah.
Ayed has an interesting question. Maybe you want to answer that. He says, "I remember when subnames came out, you had to burn fuses and it would be permanent, etc. Are you using the same method?"
I'm happy to talk to you about the burning different sets of fuses in order to allow for certain different types of actions on your names. But one thing with Namespace app is that it's built in a way to like have you not worry about burning fuses at all. Like we handle everything on the back end, on our side, under the hood, and we just like communicate with you what specific listing would do to your fuses. So yeah, but I'm happy to take that conversation, because it's not like it's technical, and it's not, I don't want to say like publicly something maybe wrong, someone quotes me on that. But yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. Yeah, yeah, as I said, like the new integration we did with QuickNode, we have to update that one. Did you know, like fun fact, the QuickNode integration has like more than like 50 installs in 50 different apps. And this is another thing, like we've never like promoted this. I'm sorry, Nevena. I know you want to kill me. We've never promoted this. We've never marketed. Like we just announced this. We should have done a better job. And my idea was to reach out to all the cool builders that are using QuickNode, and just have them maybe test this, or just like send them a message or something, saying like that they can add like a naming service into their app. at least they should just try it, if nothing else. But I completely forgot because we just whatever kept building on the new thing and then the new thing. But we should definitely focus on that more in the future. Like, look at this. I think this is the post that has like a summary of all base related things that we have done. Okay, this is me giving a talk during the on-chain summer at ETH Belgrade about ENS. Make it scale horizontally. Yes. Allow subname registrations in every single app. Yes. Every single front end. Yeah, this is just like mentions everything that we've done on base. Yeah, unfortunately, I only have 2 more minutes before I let Donnie join us. He's already here. Just look at this. I've been in excruciating pain since arriving at CC. Slaps namespace sticker on arm. Better. Big shout out to Melly, one of the coolest people that I had the pleasure to work with and hopefully continue to work with in the future. And in my defense, Melly, about this was a cocktail night that Base hosted. So yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, lots of cool stuff happened. I was even, as you can see, a walking billboard. I printed a QR code for people to scan and mint the subname of my back, subname that that you minted on Base. And ironically, I was at the L2 conference, and Base wasn't there, so a bummer. But anyway, so that's it. We gotta I have to give a shout out to we did with this with Marcus, like super cool product as well, where their music community got to mint subnames. I have to give a special shout out to Base God. Now that I'm here, and their community, super cool community. Have to give a shout out to Jesse as well. Jesse has supported us like every step of the way, so huge shout out to him. I don't know how he manages his time, and I don't know how he's on time to do everything, but kudos to him, man. Like super cool guy, super nice supporter. We didn't have the time to go over everything that we've built. We built sub pages for people to launch minting subnames that have pre-embedded sort of minting logic. We partnered with Unicorn, which is a wallet as a service provider that partnered with ETH Denver. So we issued 20,000 subnames, on ETH Denver. We'll have Griff later on talk more about that. We partnered with ETH Belgrade. We minted 30,000 subnames and counting. That's about it. I'm gonna thank you all for listening for my rant. I'm gonna let Donnie in right now, who's our first guest and the ecosystem steward for ENS DAO. Hey man.
Hey, what's up?
Can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. How's it going, man?
I've never done something like this before. Nice to know how the sausage is made.
Yeah, me neither. On my end, I think I have some kind of admin panel, so I'm trying to juggle a couple of screens. I literally bought this little monitor just so I can stream there and make sure I don't mess up along the way. But yeah, thank you for joining us, my friend.
Of course. And I heard you say you didn't get through everything Namespace did. If you can take a couple more minutes if you want to go through it.
No, I've kind of just I was speeding through everything, and I got everything I wanted to get out there. Maybe just another little thing, like so everything I do, I write on my mirror page, not dashboard. It's mirror.thecap.eth. My Mac is like 1,000 degrees, so hopefully it doesn't die on me. So everything we do, like every now and then, like I'll share a lot of like little alpha and lessons that I've learned by building on ENS. So I wrote about this I write about this type of stuff like regularly, so you can give me hit subscribe there if you want, and you should definitely read through some of these that I've written. I wrote about ENS and scaling, ENS and AI, something that we're working on. Namechain, just my thoughts about how everything's gonna change when Namechain goes live. This was the cool one, ENS lessons from the trenches, and this is the the article that just highlights the importance of service provider program, which we're going to talk about later on as well in detail. But that's about it. That everything that I wanted to say. Now on to the fun part. I guess we only have like 13 minutes, and everything is like back to back schedule. So without further ado, can you just like tell us? It's super cool. Like congrats on your this is your first year being an ecosystem steward. So congrats on that. But can you give us like maybe just a quick highlights of what you think are the most successful stuff that happened in the ecosystem in 2024? Just like a little quick view on 2024. Some highlights.
Yeah. So obviously I wasn't a steward last year, but I did get to see things that were done as a scribe. Which you've done an excellent job at. So
thank you.
Awesome work. So the Immunify bug bounty program got started, which is really cool because we fund that thing up to $250,000, and they determine credit. You can go to the Immunify website. There's an ENS page, and see what they consider critical vulnerabilities and things like that. And I think it's one of the really cool things that ecosystem does. It's like we're always we're making sure that people who are in the ecosystem and want to do the right thing, if they catch a vulnerability, do get compensated for it, which is great. And I think it's one of the many pieces of security that the DAO has. But the Immunify program was really cool. I really liked seeing that we're going to continue doing this year was the Bitcoin grants round. So it's I love seeing it's like, okay, it's ecosystem working group within ENS, but then it's like taking it to other ecosystems and doing that 1 + 1 = 3 sort of thing, which I think is becoming consensus. Like groups need to do that to succeed in the space, especially with more and more. I don't want to say competition, but maybe competition. I mean, competition for sure, but also competition for mindshare.
Yeah.
And it's like there's so many things to what do I focus my attention on, because it's so easy to get distracted by the shiny new thing. And I just love that. I think the best part about being part of ENS in general is like everybody knows what it is. Just about it's outside of DeFi, it has to be just the most successful protocol, and the reputation, I think, of the people who are a part of it, for the most part, is pretty high, and to keep it going and expand it. So that's pretty cool. And then the drips program is also really neat.
Yes.
So it's like how do you reward people for a GitHub repo? WAGMI, Ether.js, OpenZeppelin. I think that's such a cool thing. And then it's like, okay, we will fund it, and then let this community determine rewards and based on certain guidelines. So it's like and I think that was highlight of 2024 also, that we'll continue doing this year. So it's like I feel like a very well-rounded, fleshed out way to protect and grow, protect, incubate, and grow.
Protect, incubate, and grow. I love that.
Protect, incubate, and grow. Because we always, I think I'm speaking for the other ecosystem stewards, is we always want to feel like people can come to the ecosystem. If you have a question, if you're curious about a grant, you just we're not, no one's going to bite you. people are going to really, I think, go out of the way to help you out, or at least respond to you.
Yeah.
So that's been my perception of it, and
Can,
that's something we're really we think about
yeah,
going forward, because the other thing
yeah,
is
go
we
ahead.
don't want to lose mindshare, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to keep the solid ecosystem builders, and that's something we do through grants. And I don't know when grants actually got started. I'm assuming it was before last year. But to direct grants for people who have already built stuff, so they weren't uh smaller scale stuff. But it's cool. It's like you built something, the community finds it useful, we agree that it's useful, here's a thank you.
Yeah.
And so we're actually going to start paying out our first batch of grants, ecosystem grants, not to be confused with public goods, which they do all different stuff, which is great. To in the next couple weeks, we're going to start doing that. So that's really good.
Nice.
But Cap, can I tell you my favorite thing that ecosystem does?
Go ahead. You're going through my questions already. Like I have all of these planned, but you're just answering one. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I got to take like I'm the type of person, once I'm in the flow talking state, if I interrupt myself, I gotta keep myself going.
The floor is yours. The floor is yours, my friend.
So the hackathons that we sponsor, and this year, hold on, I'm pulling up the list. So we're doing 3 Global, we're doing Taipei, Cairns, New York, New Delhi, and then Dev Connect, which I guess is a Buenos Aires.
Yeah. I think so.
So the reason this is my favorite thing is we've seen people who worked or built something in a hackathon and now work at ENS Labs, or hacked on something and then it grew into a funded project. So that's like builders from all around the world in one place get exposed, working with the ENS Labs to get the support to help the hackers. And I just think the return on that. So you get brand exposure, you get in-person developer support. So showing knowledgeable and developers who really want you to succeed. And yeah, I think just being a part of that community, and then clearly they see all these paths forward throughout the different ways. Which I heard you say you're going to talk about service provider later, which is a whole different animal. Then our ecosystem grants, which is different than the public goods grants. So just all the ways to get exposure to the ENS ecosystem overall, which is really nice. And this probably jump into something else, but I imagine, or my hypothesis is, or what's something that also gets me very excited about, this year, probably going into next year, would be my guess, is like, are we calling it ENSV2? Are we calling it Namechain? Is there a specific?
V2 is a protocol upgrade, and then just a name chain is the place where we'll have
settle.
It's residential address.
Okay, so I like.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry to interrupt you. Can I ask you a question about Namechain? How do you see maybe Namechain, in the context of the ecosystem? Because right now we have an ENS as a protocol, and we'll have Namechain as a chain, obviously, as like a whole another economy on top of you can build anything. So how do you see like those two, kind of, playing together nicely?
How do I see which two playing together? Sorry.
Namechain and ENS in the context of the protocol that in the context of the ecosystem. Sorry, because ENS right now attracts a certain type of builders, I guess, and then the Namechain will kind of expand the like even broader kind of scope of builders. So I assume we'll have more builders, and we already have like a thriving ecosystem. So which is super cool. How do you just see that?
The first piece, which is again, it's like one of those things where I'm like, all this work, I feel like it's just going to make our job easier because of this. I imagine new mindshare that's going to come to ENS. Like there's new things, new docs to read. It's a new protocol to understand. So, and ideally, some good hype, which will again draw the best builders. And then, of course, when we have our inevitable name chain focused hackathon at some big event when the time is right, just to see what gets built. And I again like to think that we would that would cause maybe some developers who feel like, oh, I've done ENS. There's some hackers I don't need to, I'm going to do something else, or I'm going to focus on another track. Come back into the ENS landscape, and what people are going to be able to do when transaction fees are an order of magnitude less than now. It's like I'm looking forward to that.
We'll see. Yeah, exactly. We'll see, and it's the best type of approach, I think. We just like let people play around and see what comes up as a winner. I think it's a really good strategy. We should also have like some kind of direct, contribution to like building on the ecosystem and inspiring people to come and build, but not necessarily guide them like, okay, we need this, we need that, or something like that. I think the best kind of ideas kind of emerge from the market need and just out of interest from the people. So yeah,
exactly. And people approaching it with a fresh perspective, as opposed to who are in every day. I just saw Griff's comment that Unicorn.eth was a hackathon project that became a service provider. So there you go. It's like this. Thanks, Griff. Thanks for supporting what I'm saying. That's why it's my favorite thing that we do. It's and of course it's like whenever we go to these events, it's like seeing people in person, talking to them in real life. And it just, I don't know, it does something. We just didn't above this.
Yeah, we have just about like one more minute or two before I let Griff on. But can you just like for the end, and I'm sorry, like now I'm realizing I should have done this like 20-30 minutes with each speaker just to go through all of these, because these are super cool conversations. But just last thing, if you're talking to all builders right now that are out there that haven't started building on ENS, what would you say them? What is the best way for them to get involved? What is the best way for them to maybe ask a question? What is something that you would like to tell them to get them excited maybe to build on ENS?
I would say don't be afraid to get into the forum and read it. And I'd say, look, if you have a question or whether it's dev related, non-dev related, and someone doesn't get back to you within, I don't know, 24, 36 hours, ping me personally, because I would be shocked. But somebody in the community, one of the stewards, anybody in a service provider, somebody's going to get back to you eventually. So I think there's a lot of, that first step to joining, to getting involved in community. It's like, just post something on the forum, just show up to a meeting. And I'm sure you've seen this described too. It's like, some people, and it's great. It's like, they really want to get involved. So it's like, I'm going to come on every, call. And again, I can see they're kind of sussing out, oh, this is what this call does. This is what this call does. So, it's like, it takes a little bit to understand, but it's like, I saw people do that. And I was like, yeah, that's how you do it. It's like, just jump in. Don't be afraid to let people know you're there, and ask for help if you need it. Because there's plenty of avenues to do it, whether it's on the calls or whether it's in the forum.
Awesome. Man, thank you so much for joining, jumping in to share.
Thanks for putting this on. It's cool. It's cool to talk about it.
I think I love talking to people, man. So I think I might do this one more regularly, maybe just every quarter or so, because I don't have a lot of time, as you would imagine. But thanks so much for joining, man. This has been a blast. Looking forward to meeting you if you're going to ETC or something, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks so much,
Take
man.
care. See ya.
Bye. Okay, we have now, should I introduce him? He needs no introduction. The man, the myth, the legend himself, as I've already said, the big Griff.
GM. Griff.
Hey, man.
Shout out to Avsa, who saved that for me. He scored it and handed it to me himself. And I see I see Validator out there. He's a classic handle angel. Just making sure that good people have their domain names.
That's a good name for him, Handle Agent, Handle a Angel. Yeah, they've been doing that. I think with ENS Ferry, right? For those of you who don't know, by the way, what Validator and the rest of the team does is they'll register the name of like either the companies or the people who, I don't know, who are either involved with ENS or broader ecosystem in general in crypto, and they'll just gift them the name. So it's pretty cool. So thanks.
Yeah,
But thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm, you're my hero. You make Unicorn possible. You make it so much easier than I ever could have done. So, anything I can do to support you and Namespace, man, I am in.
Yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, this serves like as a guide for a broader ecosystem, and hopefully, people learn from both like my lessons and your lessons. So that's why we're here. So with that. Can you give us, you're the founder of Unicorn, or you're the founder of many things, but for the purpose of this call, you're the founder of Unicorn. Can you give us just like a quick, like 1 minute, maybe like a pitch or something, overview?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Unicorn is trying to make Web3 super easy for everybody. And we're doing this in a few ways. Number one, we want to make revenue streams easy for people who want to onboard people into crypto. So we're kind of like membership software, like Patreon, where you can charge for a membership and let people into your community, and then we give them all this sweet tooling so that it's worth it to pay to join your community. Is one of the things, I'm a big DAO guy, right? The DAO was my first project, and DAOs have a lot of problems finding revenue streams. So we are making that super easy to build a DAO, or to build, even if you just want a newsletter or be a crypto influencer or do any kind of community with stuff that's on chain. We make that super easy and simple and safe. And that's what really excites me about this project more than anything, is that we're creating our membership infrastructure has all the tools for managing a community. You have admin dashboards and you can see what your community members are doing. But another part of it is it also has a super safe wallet, a wallet where we remove all the functionality that I've seen people screw up over the years. It's still a non-custodial, permissionless wallet. We just hide the dangerous things, and we add it's a smart contract wallet, so we can add certain functionality that makes it harder to fall victim to the common scams that exist in the space. So I can
you can. Sorry, what did you want to say?
Well, I can even show, and there's some really cool UX stuff that we've created too. And I can even share my screen and show it, because honestly, it's hard to describe it. It's much easier to just be like, check it out, Cool. So this is the what we built for ETH Denver. We did the white label. We're like a white label infrastructure. We are also doing it for other conferences, like a co-working space, VDAO, some other groups. But everyone who came to ETH Denver actually ended up with an ENS domain, and they're actually a namespace subdomain, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to skip the login flow because I already have an account, obviously. And I'm sure you've shown people how you just pick a domain name and how easy it is.
Look, man, I'm excited to onboard people for you. Like, this is something that I wanted to do and have and build, and I want it there. So you build it, and I could not be more happier to support you with, first of all, Namespace, and then second of all, I'll just be bringing you clients because this is the coolest thing. Like, this is the coolest kind of wallet experience that I've ever seen. And
and we really consider it much more than a wallet. Like, the wallet is this bottom functionality here, and of course the wallet makes all the other infrastructure work, but it's really a membership account infrastructure. So what ETH Denver got out of it is not we weren't the wallet infrastructure for ETH Denver. They get to track who has a ticket, where are they in the login flow, did they attend, are they a hackathon member, they get to choose a lot of things for managing their community using our infrastructure. So the wallet is like, I mean, we are a wallet, of course, but the wallet is kind of just like the cornerstone of the whole building, you know?
Yeah.
And like let me show you this. This is so cool. So like when you land in your wallet, you get, of course, your own subdomain. I have griff.ethdenver.com here. And
Yep.
not only is it your wallet address, it's also your personal URL. You know, we're really like going hard on the ENS infrastructure, trying to maximize its usage. And so everybody gets a personal URL, and then they get this homepage, which eventually could even be customized based off of the assets they have in their wallet. You know, maybe some you might want to choose certain actions. These are all different activations that as a community manager, you could like put on there, you know, like this is like a video on Twitter that one of the sponsors of ETH Denver made. There's a vote active now, right? And this is where it gets really cool. So like, I'm going to Snapshot. I'm going to connect to Snapshot. It's going to auto connect me. I don't have to, there's no weird connect pop-up, you know, nothing scary. And I could, there's no open votes, but I could just click in and vote. This vote was open before, so I didn't realize that it was closed already. But here, I'll do this one instead. So this is Spork staking. So like, notice I'm just auto connected. Sorry, I have a bunch of ENS subdomains because I test these things. And you can see I'm in a new browser window, and we use a lot of cool magic to actually connect you automatically. So you never see any weird pop-up. And then you want to unstake, you just click unstake. Full account abstraction in a new window for any application that integrates the Third Web SDK. Kind of like how there's Gnosis Safe apps. So we can do that same thing, but in a new tab. And I mean, look at that. You just create a wallet. You never see a 0x address. You never have to see a network, like a chain. You never have to worry about like getting phished, because the other thing that's cool is that the apps that you have here that the admin adds are the only apps you can connect to while you're at your wallet at griff.ethdenver.com. But of course, our infrastructure is interoperable. So we will have another wallet that you can connect to that will let you connect to any app with Wallet Connect. We just hide Wallet Connect from the user because there's too many phishing apps out there. And this way, if they can't connect to a phishing app, then they can't get phished. If they another thing we stop is if they like here, you can't just transfer to a 0x address. Do you know how many nonprofits on Giveth have sent the money they raised to the right address on the wrong chain and lost the money?
I know.
It's insane. I just don't trust people that when you onboard them to a new app or a new thing to instantly figure that out, you know?
Yeah.
So
every now and then I'll see a post where someone says like ENS could have prevented this, and then someone got like either address like spoofing or whatever, and they've fallen victim to the like just people. I assume people just go to Etherscan and then just like copy the address or whatever, and then people make these random transactions from which they can just like I don't know, like there's a lot of different ways that this can happen. But when you have an ENS name that kind of connects to your wallet, like that prevents everything, but you have layers of security on top of that, which is absolutely just beautiful.
Exactly. So if you want, you can withdraw it to a MetaMask, and then you can go click a phishing link or send to the wrong address on the right chain or do whatever you want with it. But while you're in the ETH Denver space, ETH Denver knows you're safe, you know? And this is what really excites me and why ETH Denver loved this application, because they know they're not going to have support requests or problems of people screwing things up, because they're in a controlled and excludable environment. And there were somewhere around 25,000 attendees or people that were involved with ETH Denver. I think the final count was a little over 20K signups on our app. There was when when people were using, because of our infrastructure, there was never more than a 10-minute wait time to get into tickets. So the ticketing was super easy. We had, because of like the snapshot is so easy right here in the app, actually had 50% more voter turnout this year on this vote specifically for who's going to be the Spork DAO board member. There were 1,000 plus builders with 225 hackathon submissions, and all the winners are actually going to get. One of the problems that they've had in the past was that when people actually come to Denver, they don't have an address to give them. They have to do all this like coordination for the hackathon winners to get their actual address. But here we just have Hedgie, and in the admin dashboard, they have the email connected to the wallet address that's connected to their account, and they can just stream money to them here, and everyone can just go here to collect their hackathon payments.
This is like a little infrastructure for network states.
100%.
It's so cool because you're creating like a safe environment for everyone to just join safely on crypto, and then within the context of that environment, you're safe. You have all of the apps. You can participate in governance. It's so cool to hear those stats about the increase in voting, because just of the fact that you have a community that's being run in your wallet. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I think
it's super easy to try out. You can go to unicorn.eth.link and just click get started, and you can we have like a dashboard where you can make your own setup,
Yeah.
Choose a community, configure what apps you want to add, and publish, and it's live.
Yeah. Awesome, man. This all looks so beautiful. I wish we had more time just to go through all of this. But can I ask you, just for I have to say, one of my favorite stats for Unicorn is obviously the number of people that you onboarded, but actually 50% of the people are the first time crypto users, and they had no idea that they were interacting with crypto, which is kind of the end goal. And one other cool thing is that I think you had what was it, 10 support requests out of 25,000 users?
by the end, right before thing, we had a total of 20 support requests, which is out of control because last year I was making GitHub issues for the whole process. That was the thing when people, ETH Denver is running a free conference, and to do that in the US without getting sued, they created a Colorado co-op that everybody joins. So they're a member of the co-op and join the conference, which also means you actually get a cut of the profits, which is now super easy with our infrastructure. But so if you stake Spork, you actually get a share of the profits of ETH Denver. But you have to stake Spork to become a member of this Colorado co-op. With our infrastructure, they get a domain name. We stake the Spork for them in their account abstraction wallet, gasless. They didn't have to go get gas on Polygon. And for a new user, it's just like, oh, I staked Spork and became a legal member of a co-op, and they just clicked a few buttons and had no idea. It was so good that when we were talking to people at the conference, they didn't even know it happened. It was
amazing,
forgettable, so frictionless, it was forgettable.
So frictionless, it was forgettable, man. Every single guest is giving me a little gems that I'm gonna quote you guys on all of these. Man, this has been awesome. Can you just for the end give us a little bit of alpha, maybe what's next for Unicorn? I'm very excited about your future.
We're excited to be a service provider again. That we were lucky enough to be a service provider. Honestly, Unicorn wouldn't have existed without the service provider program. It was a hackathon in November, and then service provider program was in December. So I just rolled into it, and boom, all of a sudden it was like, yes, build this for ENS. So then we did. And so we want to actually make an ENS wallet and an ecosystem, onboarding ecosystem for ENS using this and the DAO, make it super easy to manage this community. with this infrastructure so that anyone can come in, buy a .eth domain name, and hold it in a very safe wallet and very secure, have all their activations right there for the community. I'm very excited about that. Also, we want to make it so that anyone with a .eth domain can instantly set up their own wallet and onboard their mom or whatever to their own subdomain, .eth subdomain. So they can have this infrastructure. Anybody with a .eth domain can have this infrastructure and onboard a few people and make sure that they, the cool thing is you can decide what tokens they want, what apps they should use, and that they're not going to get phished, they're not going to get hacked. It's like I've been onboarding people to crypto since 2014. I literally went to Ecuador and was trying to be the Andres Antonopoulos of Ecuador, knocking on college doors and being like, hey, let me present to your class and give away Bitcoin. I've wanted to onboard for so long, and the tooling was just never good enough. So here we are.
Yeah. And you build it. Well, look, man, thank you for all of the hard work you're doing on behalf of the entire crypto industry, I guess, and onboarding new people and making it super easy. Really appreciate you.
It wouldn't be possible without Namespace. Let me just put that in there. It wouldn't be possible.
Thank you so much. We absolutely enjoy working with you guys, and we're looking forward to working on a lot more. So thanks for joining, man. Really appreciate you. Hopefully we get to meet if you're going to ETHCC. I'm going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
Thanks, Cap. Man. Thanks for having me.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye. Oh, next we have, you can see James. He's already here. Man, hey, hello. Can you hear me?
How long have you been doing this, Cap? This is like hour 2?
Yeah, this is hour 2. And things are moving super quickly. I'm not even noticing the time is flying by. Sorry, we're a bit late. But
no worries.
Thank you. Thank you for joining.
I've been listening for a while, and I have to ask: is my microphone sound okay? I'm like
perfect.
Testing out a different one. Yeah,
it's perfect. Yeah. Thank you for joining. For those of you who don't know, James Beck is the official head of growth for ENS, and I've had a pleasure to chat with him for a while. And I can safely say that he is one of the coolest people to work for ENS because he has experience both at Consensus, at MetaMask, at Mirror. He's a Web3 OG, Web3 veteran. Thank you for taking the time to join us, man, and share a little bit about ENS growth. Is that what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, we're going to talk about ENS growth. I want to give maybe a bit of a recap of the time I spent at ICANN last week, which was in Seattle. It was ICANN.
Yes, please do. Give us the highlights.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I guess I'll start just with the background of myself. I joined ENS. It's now been almost 2 months. And I think what has been surprising to me is, when I was at Consensus, we were first starting to talk about the term of Web3 and introducing normal people to the world of smart contracts and programmable blockchains. The first thing you do is get an ENS name. And so in a lot of ways, describing Web3 is describing this idea that you have an identity that travels around to different apps and different ideas that you have on the internet. You have this singular identity, and it can connect all those virtual identities you have. So it's a pretty easy concept for people to get behind. Beyond the utilitarian, I don't want to remember this 24-character hexadecimal address. I want a name. I want my name. But upon joining ENS Labs, I've actually realized how deep the ENS DAO ecosystem is, and that there are so many different archetypes and personas, from people who are part of collection clubs to people who really are just integrating ENS in different app levels to, people like Brantley, who's building Ethereum Follow protocol and a whole social media platform around this.
Shout out to Brantley.
Really cool to see. Yeah. And people like yourself, who's in addition to doing a multi-hour live stream on a Friday, building a very important company for issuing subnames. So it's been cool to see, trying to understand how all these different parts work together for us. And so I would say, probably the first month of time has been getting to know my team, coming up with and sharing a growth strategy, which I can talk about a little bit, but
Please
also
do.
getting to know the ecosystem.
Yeah, ecosystem is pretty cool, and ENS, as you know, started as a domain name system, and then it turned into like identity, usernames, profiles. I think I mentioned this in one of my articles. Like, it's been called so many names that it's trying to keep up with its own growth. And one of the reasons I'm happy about ENS v2 and Namechain is that it literally addresses the needs of the market, and it's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, did you want to give us like a quick highlights from ICANN conference?
Yeah, sure. Let me, I'll talk about ICANN. So
Mhm.
I shared a thread that was, I guess it was on Monday or Tuesday, and it was kind of the highlights of what I consider to be a very arcane world of DNS governance. And so what I mean arcane, I mean a few things. You're inundated in technical acronyms, both at the DNS level, so things like CCLD, GTLD, all of these terms that I had some understanding of, but I think that more arcane terms are actually on the governance side. And so it makes DAOs seem quite simple compared to the way that ICANN works. Every single working group has its own acronym, different processes like UDRP for disputes, or PTI for public technical identifiers. There were
Yeah.
so many of these acronyms. It became kind of overwhelming. And but by like 3 or 4 days of this, I think I started figuring it out. And the other thing I was thankful for was, so our general counsel, many of you probably know about him, Alex Urbelis. He actually, represented as an IP lawyer back in 2012, tons of big brands, including Google, on their own GTLD applications. So he knew a lot of people. We had a lot of meetings set up. I think I commented on how approachable different leaders in ICANN, whether it's board members or country leaders, are. You could literally hear them talking in a conference room and then right after go up and talk to them outside. So the ICANN world is kind of small and everyone knows each other, and rules take years to adopt.
Mhm. Yeah.
So a lot of people are wondering, okay, like, what about .eth? .eth is that 3-letter country code reserved for Ethiopia. However, no countries use those 3-letter codes. And so in some ways, it's in this legal gray area where it's not going to change. It means that they're reserved for GTLDs, meaning, no one can apply for .eth as a generic top-level domain. So in some ways, it's safe. But in other ways, we're also thinking about, okay, given existing generic top-level domains, and given that there's going to be a new application round open, how is ENS, like the wider ecosystem, and how is ENS Labs thinking about this? So I can't say too much more, given that, as you can imagine, this is really competitive process. There's a lot of companies that are going to be bidding for popular TLDs, I can imagine, like .crypto, .nft, .wallet. And no one is telegraphing their moves ahead of time, or else you sort of give your competitors insight into what they might be bidding on. But yeah, there's a few players in addition to ENS that are going to be going for a lot. And then similarly, I think for IP reasons, and for the reasons that, it's a convincing argument for brands, because in crypto, there's so many hacks, there's domain spoofing, there's lookalikes, there's a lot of reasons why a big brand, whether that's an exchange or a wallet, may want to own their generic top-level domain, but not necessarily have to manage it. So there's a play there as well. But yeah, there's going to be more updates soon shared with the DAO. So I'm excited.
Amazing. Yeah, man. I'm super glad that we're in the race and well positioned. I'm not going to ask you any more kind of follow-up questions on that, because as you said, don't want to give away too many things. And plus, like, we have to, I'm really curious about asking you about growth, specifically in the context of ENS and for ENS. So can you just tell us a little bit about how does ENS growth strategy looks like for 2025? And what do you see maybe as the main kind of like focus areas for growth? Just like I'm curious about your personal take.
Yeah, I'm going to actually see if I can share my screen just a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm not going to do the whole presentation and bore you guys because this is sort of a Friday thing, but let me. One of the first things that I recognized, like in trying to understand how ENS works and sort of like what is the play for subdomains and subnames. And this is just some data I pulled together using on-chain and off-chain sources. And in a lot of ways, like, I've normalized the cb.id subnames, but, people tend to focus on the .eth primary registrations, which makes sense. That's the entire source of revenue for the DAO. But kind of what we've missed, though, in terms of broader adoption of ENS as a standard and the protocol's adoption, ENS has been growing, and it's been growing through the sort of modularity and availability of subnames. And so different brands have used subnames for different reasons. Uni.eth is an example where to them, it's purely a practical thing that every wallet user should do. And they're going to offer it to you for free. And so they store that data off chain. It allows people to basically create a wallet, name it, and move on with their life. And that makes it easier for their users to, send funds between wallets or to friends. Base, on the other hand, treats it like your passport to your on-chain world or your on-chain identity and your builder score. There's, servicing grants. They're helping people find, co-founders for companies with their base names, and they also charge for those. And so to me, in a lot of ways, like, this is kind of an insight into where is ENS growing and where is it not, and how can we grow both? And I still think that, despite subnames not directly creating revenue for the DAO, it is an important strategy for basically proliferating ENS as a naming standard. And had base names been launched independent of ENS, we might have had a different conversation right now. We would be saying, how do you compete with Base? How do you compete with Linea? But really, I think where ENS is actually able to convince people, even at like ICANN meetings, is that, we're a DAO, ENS Labs is a nonprofit. There's a lot of ecosystem groups that are really just trying to build this open source standard, and they aren't looking to just create another name space that's sellable. So the way I'm thinking about growing ENS, this is just one part of it, but I think first of all, there needs to be a lot more. The brand is cool, and we need to be doing a lot more visual tutorials. And so with that is like, we need to show how claiming names via all the different interfaces in which you can use ENS. And ENS is, obviously has app.ens.domains, but to me, it's about wallet distribution. It's about other social apps. It's about the apps people use and the consumers use. And if ENS is integrated, that's great. But I also think that these apps, Rainbow is maybe a good example, but these apps could do more to sort of push users to get an ENS name. We've been talking to, Venmo and PayPal, for example, and they've already made great improvements in resolving all of the, or at least Ethereum and Solana addresses you have associated with a .eth name. But wouldn't it be cool if you could open up PayPal and they have right now in the user flow a pop-up that says, now you can use ENS as a name. They already have that, but what if you could click on that and claim an ENS name? So we're thinking a lot about existing integrations and making sure that these are, these apps or fintech apps are also incentivized to help people claim names, which helps grow .eth. And I mentioned some of that, but like, it is pretty amazing that, within 2 clicks, you can claim a name in Rainbow. And I know there's been like Lightwalker has had a proposal out for a couple of years. There's been talk about referral fees. And so maybe that's something that comes up again to sort of give a direct financial incentive. I don't want to speak ahead of, any governance discussion though, but if you think about it, like, I come from MetaMask. We definitely talked about ENS and we want people to claim ENS names, but what are ways to incentivize ENS claiming within the app itself? But But I also think, here's an example where we only saw, I think I was looking at the data recently, there's like 23,000 users that have associated a DNS record with their ENS name. Part of that has to do with, and this is not me casting blame on ENS or anyone, it's just kind of this sort of way that marketing works in a lot of organizations, where engineers and product people are working for months and months with another team. And then all of a sudden you're ready to launch and you get really excited, and it's a Tuesday afternoon, and you go live and you said, ENS and GoDaddy are partnered to do this, and people get excited, and then it just ends. And so to me, 2024 was a great example where there was some really good integrations, but they kind of just ended there. And here's an example from the GoDaddy help center, how to actually link a GoDaddy domain to ENS. But we need to do more. We need to create more content and more tutorials and examples of why you'd want to do this, of how you do it. Basically, all the things that people deep in the ENS ecosystem know about are maybe a first-time thing for someone else who might already have a .eth name, but not have thought about linking their DNS records. And let me just see one more thing.
Yeah, you have a hour-long probably presentation, and
I'm gonna just talk about
minutes. I think Coltron has either an issue connecting, or he said that he's trying to figure out if he can connect without logging in. Maybe he thinks that I don't know. Coltron, if you're listening to this, I'm not trying to scam you or fish you or whatever. But yeah, let's see if he joins. But until he joins, we can keep the conversation going, because I absolutely love talking to you. You and I are so aligned in terms of our thinking for how to grow ENS. This is just ridiculous when I'm listening to you talk. My inner voice is just saying thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, because I just agree 100% with everything that you said. I had throughout you talking, I had a lot of comments.
Go ahead. We have some time, it looks like.
But the thing is, when you want to say one thing and then you try, okay, I want to mention that, and then I want to mention that, and then I want to mention that, and by the end, you're done. I'm just so focused on you talking that I kind of forget everything. But I wanna while I have you here for a short time, I wanna get the most information from you. I'm curious. You mentioned some of the growth areas, focus areas that we should, as a community and service providers and ecosystem, and you specifically with labs, we should focus on. And what I'm hearing is basically off-chain subnames. Do you see off-chain subnames, L2 subnames, having people just run their own namespace on a chain-wide level, and allow people like base names did for their community to leverage base names, so it kind of works well for base names as well if people are just adopting this human readable standard for wallets. So imagine all of the people who build on base either use their own ENS or leverage base.eth, which is pretty cool. So I'm hearing those, and I'm hearing a lot of decentralized website and decentralized domain stuff from integrations with GoDaddy and stuff like that. So those are big areas that I've heard for growth. Correct me if I'm wrong, but do you see, for example, specific industries in crypto that we should focus on that will bring the most amount of users in whatever you think that is best for growth, whether that's the DAO kind of revenue and registering second level names or subnames and registering them for free, or maybe even paid subnames people base names do. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts? Obviously wallets are killing it. What do you see maybe other kind of category that will do great?
Yeah, so I guess the question is, at least in the United States, we call these fintech apps, Venmo, PayPal. Right now, that feature that you see from the ENS Twitter account, which kind of shows you sending PYUSD you could use Ethereum, you could use Solana. That's just something that's only available in the United States right now. And I know, the PayPal team has grand plans for expanding globally and want PYUSD to be sort of this digital dollar that can be used for cross-border payments. So if you were to ask me, Cap, for me currently to send money to Belgrade, or to, sorry, well, I guess to Serbia,
Yeah.
it is quite expensive using traditional financial rails. I still think, and you look at even the mergers and acquisitions in our space over the last year or two, stablecoins, it's like, sounds super obvious, but payments and stablecoins are still not ubiquitous using crypto rails. And so PayPal is a great example to have with ENS, where we're already saying, maybe sending money across borders is easier if you choose the PYUSD option. It's going to be cheaper. You can send it directly to a person. You don't have to wait however many days to settle, sometimes 3 to 5 days. And so I still think that PayPal is just the start. We need Pix in Brazil. We need Klarna. We need all of the major European fintechs. All of these are just kind of, it's an entryway into expanding USD adoption. And part of it is like, well, is ENS responsible for that? In some ways, I think so, because we're the naming standard for Ethereum and really for a lot of blockchains. And it's sort of a pitch to say, look, if you want users adopting a product, you need an easy version to do it.
Yeah.
And so having a username where you can receive money across borders is very important.
And it eliminates like multi-chain. It's multi-chain. Like that's kind of underappreciated aspect.
Yeah.
One name, all addresses, all chains. There you go.
Yeah, and then I'm looking at the comments, and Griff said they used about 20,000 ENS subdomain DNS records. That's true with the ETH Denver example he said before this. So there's already like examples where conferences, anything that requires sort of even temporary identities, could be using a standard where the fact that I now have an ETH Denver subname, that's something they can use moving forward. So imagine a sports team, whether it's like American football or global football, starting to give out sort of names and subnames for a team. And all of a sudden you have this sort of years-long record of how much you've supported. You can imagine musicians and artists and any sort of fan model using subnames as an example.
Yeah.
I think also for the growth of Namechain, there needs to be more than just existing .eth names transacting on the chain for the chain to be successful. And that's what we're also thinking about when it comes to DNS records and registries. We're talking to registries, whether it's the biggest like Identity Digital or others, to say, every time you issue a DNS domain, you can out of the box have it connect to ENS, and that would be beneficial for Namechain because then, it's creating transaction volume and settling on Namechain.
Yeah. Well, look, man. I wish I wish I scheduled like at least 30 minutes with every single guest speaker, man.
I'll join the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's I guess that puts me right on the spot. So I have to commit now that I'm gonna do another one, hopefully soon. But I just see Coltron join, and I know he's at the airport, and I have to let him in. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your time and appreciate everything that you are starting to do for ENS. And I hope we get to chat a lot more in the future. And yeah, man, let's grow this beast into something amazing. All right.
Big respect to you, Cap, and I'll be tuning in. And yeah, let's have another call sometime.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Right. Talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Hey, Coltron, can you hear me?
Hey, Cap, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you for joining,
Awesome.
Man.
Yeah,
I know,
no problem.
I know the circumstance is a little kind of weird, I guess. You don't have the Wi-Fi, you don't have a stable connection. You're at the airport, and
Yeah, just on my just on the phone connection, and yeah, I think it's working now. I don't have video, unfortunately. Sorry, I didn't realize it was kind of a content creator thing. I probably would have made sure I was actually in front of my laptop.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you taking the time, especially under the circumstances. Since we're like 10 minutes late, and we probably have like 5-10 minutes before Avsa joins. Let's dive right in. I'm super excited about what you guys are doing at Public Goods, especially now since I've been a scribe. I have been following everything closely by taking notes, and you guys are doing some amazing work. But before we get into that, can you just like let's do this in two questions. So the first one is give us some highlights and something that you're most proud of, and something that you like the most from 2024, and something that you are excited about for 2025. Is that okay?
Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, so I think looking back at 2024, I'm super excited that we. I don't know how much time I have, but yeah. So the context is we had kind of like a kind of community oriented, kind of community facing program, small grants. I think back from 2022, and what one thing I'm proud of is that we have kind of carried the torch with that and kept that moving through last year. Um, and that's been a really great program where people can come in and submit projects, receive small amounts of funding, community can vote on it. I'm actually really happy like we were able to keep that running through the end of last year. I'm also really proud of the large grants we were able to distribute. We had, I think, one of our last rounds last year distributed around 300K to five builders on various projects, and that was really great to see those larger tranches of funding come through to those projects as well. I think they were all very really deserving.
If
We
I might jump,
collaborated with some new. Yeah, go
if
ahead.
I might jump in just right there, I think this is really important. Can you, just for, I assume like there's 200 people listening and watching this, can you, probably a lot of them are builders, can you tell people like what are we specifically looking for, like what type of projects we usually like to fund, and who can approach a public good working group for
Sure.
funding?
Yeah. Sure. So to answer this question, I'll kind of frame it, and kind of to give some context on, ENS and on how we fund grants. We have
Mhm.
ecosystem grants, which are kind of looking into, everything building on ENS. That's not me. Public goods, what we're looking for is everything that's like kind of outside ENS, kind of in like the broader Web3 and Ethereum space. Those projects that maybe don't use ENS, but they benefit kind of a large subset of users and make Ethereum more hospitable, make it easier to build on, just a better place to interact with as a user. Those are the things that we're specifically focused on with my working group.
Yeah, this is some people may don't know this, but ENS, public goods working group, doesn't just necessarily fund like things that are only ENS. As a matter of fact, like as you guys said, like you're very Ethereum aligned, and you help finance the broader ecosystem. Can you just give us like some of the cool projects that you funded over the years, and that you love funding and supporting, just so people get
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
context?
Yeah, sure. And like, so also for more context, ENS came out of, public goods funding from the Ethereum Foundation. So like
Yeah.
this is why this is in the Constitution. Well, in my subjective opinion. Some of the cool things I think we've been really happy to fund, kind of more infrastructure layer things.
Mhm.
And also more like open source tooling. One of those that comes to mind is like Rocky, which is like an open source way to manage your portfolio. You can download it, you can run it locally. You can, I think, output printouts for your taxes on it. It's really great, and I think it kind of has like a kind of a roll your own like Ethereum ecosystem ethos. That's been really awesome. Another thing we've been really happy to fund is Clav. There was
Mhm.
a team. Nick was looking for a pre-comp. I'm just gonna try to like do this off of my memory. There's some technical stuff I'm gonna forget, but Nick was looking for a pre-compile for the K curve or the R1 curve, one of the elliptical curves that
Okay.
currently was not able to be used by your iPhone, essentially.
Mhm.
The Clav team was a hackathon project, I think, out of one of the global hackathons, and we ended up funding them. They ended up doing an EIP that turned into an RIP, and then they ended up going forward and essentially, I think, raising money and launching their own project known as like the Clav wallet. Um,
Yes, they're the guys on
and
ZK
that
Sync,
that's
right?
super awesome. Say again.
Are they the guy like a ZK Sync guys? Is that am I mixing them up?
Um, I think you're mixing it up. It's a group of students, not students anymore, but out of Istanbul,
Mhm.
and they went to Istanbul Technical University.
Yeah, I could be wrong then. I might have mixed them up with someone.
But yeah, anything that basically is like infrastructure layer, open source tooling, um, anything that like in my opinion is like technical that you can like see and interact with, has a GitHub repo. Those are really things that I think we get excited about.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. Um, okay, just one last thing for 2025. What should we be excited about when it comes to public goods? Can you give us
Well, I
some
mean,
alpha? I know you guys have like a lot of initiatives going
I
on.
mean, well, for right now, I mean, if you really want to just dive into something right now, we're funding a round with Octant.
Yes.
Octant is matching ENS. We're running that on Giveth. That goes to April 2nd. I think if you go to the Giveth website, it should be available, kind of like hopefully front and center right there as one of the active rounds. We've also been promoting that I think on Twitter heavily. So if you're interested, you could probably just go to the ENS DAO Twitter and find it. Excited about that currently
Yep.
as of right today. But also, I think I'm actually excited about continuing conversations on like how we should evolve our programs. Um, in my opinion, public goods working group started at the end of 2022 when the DAO launched, and it kind of came out of the mandate that we should fund public goods, like the treasury should be used to fund public goods. And I think we have developed kind of a path for that. But I would really like to put our heads together and start to collaborate, like and kind of do a retrospective and think of like, are we actually still on the correct path? Do we need to recalibrate? Is there anything else we need to do? In the public goods working group is um, putting their heads together. On our last call, we kind of brainstormed a bit, but thinking about our current, methods of allocation, like are they enough? Should we be giving more funding to smaller projects? Should we be
Yep.
expanding the breadth of our funding? Should we be focusing on just a few things and giving more money to a few things? Creating more partnerships, but I'm actually I'm looking forward to kind of just kind of doing a little bit of a retrospective and kind of reevaluating, reshaping, while continuing our builder grants, which are currently open, which is the iteration of our small grants. Small grants I mentioned when we first got on was a community kind of program where anyone could submit a application to receive funding. We have a new platform for that, which is
Yep.
builder grants, and excited for that to keep moving forward. Exciting to expand some partnerships and kind of just like take stock of what we have and continue to improve.
Awesome, man. Super cool stuff. I have to say, as I said, like from my point of view as a scribe and someone who's only been kind of involved with the in the ecosystem working group like closely, I have started appreciating a lot of work that's been going on in other working groups, and it's so cool to learn from all of you guys, specifically public goods and metagov. You guys have so many things on your hands and doing amazing stuff. As I said, ecosystem is great as well, but I've been in the ecosystem for a very long time, so I kind of know the ins and outs of that working group. But you guys are absolutely killing it, and yeah, I'm very excited about the future of public goods for ENS and Ethereum. Um, is there anything else that you would like to say to just builders that are looking to either join or apply or something, where they can, I guess, like they can find all the information on the ENS Twitter account, but any if you were speaking to builders, last words, what would you say?
Yeah. So, well, the hyperlink to our builder grants is builder.ensgrants.xyz. If I don't fumble that. Um,
Mhm.
but I think generally, I think the message that I would like to put across, and it's an obvious one, is that we have public goods funding. I think many people they assume we have funding for people who are building an ecosystem, who are creating awesome things on top of ENS, like that's a given. But I think actually we are probably a little under advertised on the public goods funding, and that ENS does have, public goods. And also, like, you don't have to build anything on ENS to be applicable. And actually, like, we kind of don't want you to build anything on ENS to be applicable. We're hoping you're doing something else. And that's our whole purpose here, is to make sure that those projects have funding available. So really, if this hopefully there's someone in the audience that this is the first time they heard ENS as public goods funding, and they kind of get curious. So that would be a success for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So super cool, man. Thank you for taking the time to join again under the circumstances. And I don't know, are you going to some event or something? You're flying off to something, or is it?
No. Just some personal travel for the weekend, and
Okay.
I'll be working remote next week. Kind of a fun location. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining, and thank you for taking the time. Really appreciate you and Public Goods Working Group. Super nice to chat to you, and I guess I'll see you in the next weekly call.
Awesome, Cap. Yeah, thanks again for hosting. This is a great platform you're putting forward. Thank you.
Thanks so much. My pleasure. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Bye. Okay, we have the next guest speaker. Let me see. And hello, Alex.
Hey,
Or
Cap.
Avsa Darith. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Avsa? Or
I don't know how to pronounce Alexa. That's just like 4 letters. You can call me Alex. That's okay.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, man. I'm super excited to talk to you in the light of our epic program that is about to go live, service provider program.
Yes, I'm very excited for that.
You are the creator of. So can you just let's dive right in. Can you just give us like a 1-minute thing for those of those who don't know what service provider program is? 1-minute pitch.
So I previously I was a public good steward, and as a public good stewards, we were like just trying to like give out grants for people, and I could see that through the process, like getting a big grant, like 50,000 or 100,000, like as a steward, maybe that's because like, maybe we are doing wrong, but as stewards, we felt that we need to do like a lot of like legwork, before you could like prove 100K grant, right? And yet, for a developing team, like that just it's not worth for you to like spend months and months and months trying to get a grant. Like I've gone on both sides of grants. Like I had to receive grants, I had to give grants. And as a developer, like it's a very bad experience for you to like not know if you're going to get a grant, when you're going to get a grant, and who do you need to talk, or what do you need to say. Like that just make grants something very hard to come by.
Yeah.
And the state of ENS about 2 years ago was that basically if you wanted money, either you work for labs, like labs had a stream from the DAO, or you had to get grants. And the thing like the getting grants is complicated, just not worth it. So I was talking to a lot of great developers who were telling me, look, we want to work with ENS. We want to give our best to ENS, but it's just not possible, right? We are not making money. We thought that we were going to maybe get some type of grant for our work or sell ENS domains. That's not happening. So we are gonna just have to leave the ecosystem and go elsewhere, or maybe we're gonna have to make a request directly for the DAO to give us some money. And there were at least 3 or 4 people who told me in private that they were going to go forward with that. And I soon realized that if everybody does it at the same time, it creates chaos, right? Because the first people who do it, that might be good. Maybe the second, you're not sure. Maybe the third, like you want to prove it. And actually, you prefer the third guy who came than the first, but you already proved the first. You can't take that back. And then everybody has to rush in because they are realizing, oh no, if I don't get a grant right now, I'm not gonna get a grant. And I just felt that this process needed some better normalization, right? The right way to do the process would be, hey, let's decide how much we could give out to developers beforehand, and with all that, like, are we going to give $3 million, $4 million, $1 million, no $1 million? And then after we do that, then we just ask everybody to present their case, and we select, and we get the best, right? And that is the and like the process of the selection evolved. Nick was crucial in coming up with the knapsack algorithm that we used, which I think it's very cool.
Yeah.
But in short, what it is, if you don't know it, is ENS right now has approved $5 million to be given per year. That's not a one-time thing. That like we are going to give out $5 million for any number of developers who want them, right? So, like, if you want to give it, and the goal is you're not going to be working with something specific. Our goal is to do it to give it to anyone who is willing to work for ENS infrastructure, even with new ideas, like present new ideas, give out things, experiment stuff, right? And for this 1 year or maybe even 2 years, you might have that budget guaranteed to come in every month, every week, every day in your wallet, as long as ENS is happy with you.
Yeah, that's a beautiful overview of the program and the kind of the inspiration behind it, which I really appreciate. Yeah, so I think it's the approved amount is $4.5 million, right? Or was it five?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
It's four. Because like the first time I was presenting, I was going to increase it like by 50%. I would go to 5.4. I had some feedback to not make those changes so big. So I think this
yeah.
it was like 3 million, 4 million, or 2 million, or zero. And I think we went to 4 million. You're right.
Yeah. So the service provider program is basically for the people who want to contribute to ENS DAO on the protocol level, the infra level, the tooling, the apps, like anything goes, experimentation, research. Like, is that correct assumption?
Yes. Anything that we consider like you were working to sustain and improve and increase the ENS system, right? It's open enough that like maybe like you want to do, oh, I want to do like, I don't know, I would want to do marketing for ENS, right? That that can fit. That's a viable project, but that is also to the criteria of each steward, right? I think some have, like Nick had made it clear that he wants to work. He wants like he wants people who working on infrastructure. I would prefer developers, right? I probably it's a ranked choice voting, so I'm probably going to rank developers with like big track records above like things like, I don't know, like if you wanna just use your like pay influencers to dance with ENS videos, that's okay. I don't think you're gonna get the votes, right?
Yeah.
It's a candidate, like you're eligible for a candidate, but you're probably not gonna get the votes.
Yeah. Like whatever it is, it has to be quality service, right? And
It needs to
we're
be quality service. You need to be, so what do you need to be eligible, right? You need to be a company, it's not an individual, right? Because one of the things, so there are a lot of changes now from the last season to the next season, right? And the main one is like, and why you need to be eligible right now, you need to be a company, it needs to be at least, I think, $300,000 per year. That doesn't mean just 1 year. It can go to 1 year, 2 years, sometimes more, depending when we do the next renewal, right? And you need to be improving the core ENS system, right? It is about ENS as a whole, right? So it's not about, oh, like you could. It's not really, if you have like an app that you integrates ENS somehow, right? Or that you just want to be paid. It's not about public goods. It's
yeah.
you're going to be working to improve ENS. It's like what level? It's like what we wanted with the initial goal is that ENS had a really high bus factor of maybe 1 or 2, right? Meaning that if there was a meteor hit right when ENS Labs was having like their yearly like meeting, and there was like a meteor right down on that island, and like it exploded. Like we would, like ENS would know. ENS would no longer work, right? And I think that's the goal, right? We want to be able make sure that if a meteor hit on the right place, on the wrong place, on the wrong time, your team will still able to do it, right? 2 years ago, we only had basically one team working, Labs, great team, but now we have 10 teams working on ENS,
Yeah.
right? And I think they are doing different things, and sometimes their work overlaps, sometimes it doesn't. They collaborate, but I think that's overall great.
Can I ask you? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I want to ask you. We're talking that we want to see quality providers, quality services, but like, how do you look at what constitutes a good service provider in terms of results? Because one type of result that we can measure is the DAO revenue. If the product, whatever is that they're building, is increasing the DAO revenue, like that's one kind of result that we could strive for. Another one could be strengthening or expanding the core infrastructure layer. Another one could be, marketing. Another one could be kind of driving, like what we're doing with subnames, like driving the like a widespread adoption, like scaling ENS horizontally and allowing anyone to become essentially like a ENS identity providers, like whether it's wallets or something else, like L2 chains and so forth. So these are all kind of different approaches which have different types of results. But I'm just curious, like, how do you like categorize them? Are there some ones that are more valuable? Or are there some ones that are not, I guess, like not less valuable? But I'm just curious, how do you think about that?
So this is my personal opinion. It's not like a requirement for the program, but in my opinion, if you take a look at what has happened on ENS the past 2 years, I think the most interesting things that have happened were things that not only did not impact the revenue, but rather you could argue that it would impact negatively, right? ENS being integrated into DNS, right? The ability of you having an ENS domain by just having a domain. That's very cool. Having subdomains, right? Free, cheap subdomains, the ability for you, if you have an ENS name, you can give out 1,000 off-chain names. That is very cool. Though both those things, actually, you could argue that they make they are not bringing in revenue, right? But I think they are super interesting for the ENS ecosystem, right? And if you ask me, like, if there are two scenarios in 5 years' time, right? In one scenario, the DAO is making a lot of money selling NFTs, but it's otherwise just that. And the second scenario, the DAO is not making a lot of money selling .if names, but it is integrated deeply into naming systems and domain systems and username systems in inside DNS, inside decentralized social networks, and etc., etc., etc. I think that's a much more interesting scenario. In that scenario, the DAO probably would have to rethink how it makes money. But I think that's a much more interesting scenario for ENS long term than just ENS sells like .if names.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So a service provider, like, this is kind of like, I'm curious, how do you see like a service provider in terms of service provider program in terms of like would be, and I also, we should preface this by saying, like, all of these are just our own opinions. Obviously, ENS is decentralized. Every single DAO delegate votes based on their own kind of beliefs and expertise. So we're just here to share our viewpoints and what we think are important stuff. I'm curious. Do you see service provider program providing like a 1-year service to build something, and then once it's done, like, we have to build the next thing? Or is there, like, should service providers expect like a kind of recurring on a yearly basis for a certain thing that they run?
I think,
I mean, it's a kind of weird question, I guess, but I'm curious.
So here's the thing, right? When you become a candidate for, like, I want to get 300K a year, right, from ENS service, right? What you're not proposing, you want to get 300K and then you're going to deliver something, right, for building one specific project, right? What you're doing is that you're going to do ongoing service for ENS for as long as ENS wants you to have that service, and your overall cost is 300K, right? And I think we can see that because the stream started in February, so it means that everyone who is a service provider has been already working for a service provider for longer than a year, right?
Yeah.
And I think, and they will keep working on that until this in this renewal. So you need to think about this renewal not really as okay, that's a new thing you need to do, but rather just as like for existing providers, it's almost like annual performance review in which you have to present to your boss what you've been doing, what you want to expect to like what you want to do next year, and they will decide like if you are you're if you are going to stick on the job or not, and also a scenario for new and oncoming candidates to become to say, look, I want this job also, right? So I rather that people think it as more as an ongoing job where you're paid to build, you're paid to do something, and you're probably going to keep building it until one of those things happen. Either your service comes up for renewal and the DAO votes not to renew your thing, or you do something to piss off the DAO and the DAO votes to fire you, right?
Yeah.
So I think, and that is the purpose of the program. The purpose of the program is to give some stability for developers so that they can sort of think, look, as long as we are doing good work, and as
Yeah.
long as the DAO has money and the DAO is approving those programs, we are gonna keep working here and we can expand and things like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. To have that kind of like a year safety that you do not have to think about the funding, you don't have to think about anything. You just heads down and build and ship stuff.
And I think it's a good opportunity to talk about the changes from the last year from this
Yes,
year,
yes, I was gonna ask you about
right?
that. How did
So
it evolve over a year?
like so I gather a lot of feedback from the service providers where like what they like, what they didn't like, from people who wanted to become service providers, and a lot of people thought even mentioned that they would rather have more stability than more money in some senses, right? I ask everyone this question: would you rather have a longer contract or just more money up front? And almost all of them rather have like stability, right? So one of the things that we did is that we created a tranche for a 2-year extension, right? And I think you can
Yeah,
think of it of if you have so much overwhelming support from the DAO that you probably would have been elected next year anyway. So we're just keeping your next election, right?
yeah,
So that's one of the things it serves. It gives you a 2-year contract instead of one. And the second thing it serves is that a lot of people wanted to have like some more flexibility in negotiating with the DAO, meaning that the way it worked last year, it was look, you either get it or you don't get it, right? And it depends on your votes and your budget, right? If if by the time like you all the projects are compared, they are ranked, and then we just start taking on the top until the budget is done. And if it happens that you just so it can happen that if you ask too much money you can be skipped and then the next guy under you gets because they're like because you're over budget and they're not, right? And I think that's very clever because it keeps people from just asking for too much even if they know that they have the votes, but it also creates a scenario in which you either get it or you don't get it and it's a binary thing and it's sort of tense and you don't know how you're going to get it until like the last few minutes of the vote. And I wanted to have a system in which people could sort of negotiate and say, "Look, this is how much I'm gonna go do it," and I have a range I can work with, right? We've gone through a few scenarios on how that could work, and what we ended up is you have basically two budgets. You have the minimum amount for which you are willing to work, and you have an extended budget, right? And if you get approved the extended budget, that's great. But if that doesn't fit the extended budget, that's okay because you still get a smaller budget. That does have a big problem though, because what it could encourage service providers would be to just ask a huge, enormous, like extended budget and a very tiny minimal budget, saying, "Look, I want 1.5 million, or I want $100,000, right?" Which is like the two extremes, meaning that if you get if you get a lot of votes, you're gonna get as much money as you want, and that sucks for everyone else who gets pushed out, and everyone else will get just the minimum amount until you fill out. That is not the scenario we wanted, right? So, in order to encourage people to keep giving like honest budgets, we created these two trenches, meaning that if so, your extended budget will basically decide if you get a 2-year contract or not, right? Because only the top people will get a 2-year contract, right? So if your extended budget is too big, it might mean that you could have gotten a 2-year contract, but because you're over budget the 2 years, now you're gonna just get just going to get 1 year, right? And I think that is good, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to think, I don't want to put my budget too big, otherwise I can lose out on having like more stability, and then you rank down, right? And then of course, if you're still over budget for extended budget, then you get the basic budget, and then you have to think about your basic budget, saying, look, if your basic budget's still too big, then that's your last chance, right? You're gonna get you're not gonna get anything. So what happens in short is that there are three scenarios for a service provider, right? They might get a 2-year contract with their extended budget. They might get a 1-year contract with their extended budget, or they might have a basic budget with 1-year contract, right? So that is where the negotiation is happening with the DAO and the candidates.
Yeah. I
Or you
remember
can
we
get
were
nothing, right? So it's 4 options.
yeah. I remember there was a lot of talk about how to how to evolve this and build the next version of the program. And I think you led the charge on that, and you've done an amazing job there.
Thank you.
So, are there any like highlights? Not highlights, but are there any like differences from the previous version that will impact these terms service providers when they're applying, other than the budgeting? Does anything come to mind other than, like, I know we've explicitly have now eligibility criteria, few points. We have KPIs, which are quarterly reports that some have been doing, but now will be a mandatory thing to prove, like, on a quarterly basis that we are contributing and actually building. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
So what we try to do is what I like. It's called like paving the cow path, right? Instead of building a deciding where the road goes, you just see where people went, and then you just formalize that. And I think that's sort of what we did with the budget requirements and with the like. Before we were just telling people like you need to be transparent of what we were doing, and we thought that almost everyone just had a quarterly report in which they presented like, this is where you are, this is where you want to be, this is where, like, what's going to happen, right? And I think we wanted to formalize and say, look, everyone should do that. Another idea, which I still feel a lot of people are not like fan of it, is the idea of having KPIs. The idea of having KPIs, and I think that's important, is that you set your own KPIs as a service provider, right? You're just saying, like, this is what, it's just a measure of how much you're able to stick to your promises, right? You're saying, what you're saying is, I hope to deliver this by August, and then when August comes around, you have sort of, look, I promised to deliver it by August. I didn't deliver everything like I promised, but I did deliver this, and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
And
just a little comment there, something to add to that. I think we can have like a kind of global KPIs that we can measure, that are the indicators of our success. But let's face it, like, we live in crypto, like opportunities arise like left and right. Like no one knew that like the AI stuff is going to explode as much as it did, with all of these frameworks and all of these like kind of agentic type of frameworks and whatnot. So we kind of pivoted our attention a little bit there. So that's why we were kind of late with something that we were kind of initially promised on and got the budget for.
But I think that's part of the idea of having a constant salary, like a constant stream, is the idea that you are not really bound to be building the stuff that you were like. You're not being contracted to build something to the DAO specification. You're
Yeah.
contracted for doing work, and that work can evolve and you can change it. So the KPIs are not something that I think we should, and I think that can evolve with how we measure, what we measure, should we measure, how much are we tied up. But I think the goal is not really to tie people up on promises they made 1 year ago or 2 years ago. Of course, that would be absurd. It's just let's try to have some number in which you try
Yeah.
to say, like, I think that's like a target. And I know people are gonna have like low targets, right? It's just like I wanna do this by August. I wanna launch this in this month. And then if you don't do that, I think that's okay. Like just talk, go to the community and say, look, we've changed our mind. We don't want to
Yeah.
go in this direction. We experimented and we want to go to that. Like nobody's going to create like to create a DAO vote to expel you because you change your where direction is. What we want to
Yeah.
do is if you're not doing any report, if you're not able to present anything that you're doing, if you're not able to present where you want to be or what, then I think that's just like a symptom that probably you're not doing a great job. It's just something that helps others evaluate that you are active, you're thinking, you're setting targets for yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's spot on. And I guess every successful entrepreneur or builder or whatever, they know like when you start working on something, it's not like unless you're creating a product that already exists and you think you can make it better, faster,
Mm-hmm.
like cleaner UX, whatever. In that case, yeah, okay, that then you can have some kind of like idea the direction where you're going. And even then, you're gonna talk to a lot of people. Maybe you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna go and now whatever onboard all AI agents to ENS subnames and profiles, and then in next 6 months, like whatever happens, like with AI, and you can't do that anymore, or like you discover that people don't want that, you say like, okay, we tried, like in 6 months, people don't want this. Let's pivot to something else. It's not worth losing time.
Mm-hmm.
Like pivoting in startup world and just anywhere, I guess, is important. I mean, like Amazon started as whatever, like selling books, and if they had to deliver on their promises and KPIs, had there been a service provider, like they would be like, it's not to say that they should push for selling books, right? They just pivoted into like, and
Sure,
now they're a
sure,
multi-billion company.
and but I'm pretty sure that people inside Amazon projects, they just have to just, if you're working in Amazon and you have a project to sell more books, like you're probably going to have some internal targets, right? And
Yeah.
then there's not a problem that in that project of selling books, you realize, you know what, we should have an ebook reader, right? And that then
Yeah,
you just set new targets.
exactly.
But like, I think I like maybe like I just think that we need to think of the DAO as like it's hard because like what are the metaphors you can work with the DAO, right? I like to think of the DAO as like this big enterprise, like global enterprise are doing, and like all the teams are sort of like teams inside this enterprise, right? Just like they say that the success of Apple is because every team is a tiny startup on itself, right? Because what they
Yeah.
do is that they just have lots of small teams that work as an internal startup, doing a lot of stuff that fails, and we never hear about their failures. That's why we only see their successes. I think that the DAO should work a little bit like that, where every team is their own little startup. They have ideas and they create new ideas. And sometimes like there will be times in which like we will come at the end of a term and say, look, this is great. You tried a bunch of ideas, you experimented, you failed. It's okay. We have like we but like you're just like seven out of like you're just seventh best project and you only have budget for six, and that's okay, right? You're because you can see what you did, like it's sort of like, yeah, you're not going to be with us next year, but that's okay because you can see you tried, right? And I think
Yeah.
that is sort of how I think of the DAO, right? There always should be space for the best teams to continue working on cool stuff, but we need to once every year, once every 2 years, take a look at everything who's working and say, look, we keep the best, and we the ones that aren't that great, we just replace with newcomers who seem
Yeah.
to be doing good job. And I think that creates a healthy ecosystem and keeps people honest.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I agree with you. Like, yeah. And I like this frame, like kind of, mental model for thinking. Like you have kind of one kind of, let's call it DAO, or like an authority, which is comprised of like many delegates that represent the will of the people, essentially, that got their tokens delegated to them by every single holder, and they essentially vote on what's going to happen, what's going to get built, what are the ideas that we're going to test, which are the teams that we're going to support, and essentially they are the last one that are casting their votes into how things are going to play out. But like, I think I'm 100% with you on this. I'm curious how this, and yeah, we can wrap it here. We've been going on for a while. I'm just curious, like, how do you see this entire service provider program evolving? In a sense, there's been like a little talk about, like, do we have like a, graduates, like service providers, then graduates, do we have something like that? How does like the final form of a service provider program look like to you, maybe like in the ideal
So,
version, maybe the next 5 years, maybe not the ideal
sure.
version.
I think that we need to have on a service provider, we need to have like a smaller on ramp, especially because we increase the minimum budget, right? I think the minimum budget for you to work at a company is 300K. We think that if you're having below that, you're not even like company, you're probably just two guys doing like work, right? I think there should be a space like under that. I would call that talent or scholarships,
Yes.
or something like that, in which instead of having a company, we just have, look, we have, let's say, $300,000 as a budget, and it works exactly the same, but it's for individuals, and we give us a salary. Like, I'm gonna do this. I want 40K per year, right? I want to do this. I want 100K per year, right? And then and then that can be lots of things. I want to write a newsletter. I wanna take care of the socials. I wanna help manage the KPIs and help do the forum or whatever. Anything that needs being done, you can just go
Education,
through
case
that.
studies.
Education or case studies. Like, you're just like, we had that as the scholars, which I think went great. And I think
Yeah.
after that, we should probably take care of the other side, which is the big one, right? The service providers works until, I think, 1.4, $1.3 million. And that was a deliberate choice to include the ask that few service providers made. The idea that maybe if it's more than that, maybe, like, how do we deal with that, right? Is it once, like, a per case basis or not? Or maybe, and I think that could work in like in the future. Maybe everything on the DAO, like the whole yearly budget of the DAO, could be decided as a knapsack theorem, right? Maybe what should do is that we should make some calculation based on past revenue and what the endowment base, and say, look, we have, for this year, we can spend $20 million, right? And then we just vote on everything once, right? And that would include ENS labs, which I think should be, of course, priority. That should maybe include the working
Yeah.
group budgets, right? Which, like, working group budgets have to, like, they do budgets like in an off-cycle weird way every 6 months. Maybe that should be like over there with, like, maybe we should put everything together, right? And that is how the DAO keeps their budget in a same format without, like, exploding it. I don't know, but I think if the service provider keeps being successful, I think we could consider either of those scenarios, right? Either we create separate service providers for, like, things larger and things smaller, or we just put everything together in a giant knapsack pile. Just say, hey, wreck everything.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out, but I think,
Then I get
yeah.
to hate it. I need
I
to
think
rank 100 people and 100 projects. And
Yeah, I think whoever is in charge, I think the meta governance stewards are gonna kill us if we had them. But I think public goods had like more than 100 or 200 submissions for projects. So they went through all of them, and like God knows if we at some point have something like that for with a budget of like millions and millions of dollars, how that would look like. But yeah. Man, it's so cool to talk to you. I could do this for hours. Spence is not gonna join us, I think, because he's not answering my texts. So I think you're the last guest. We can take maybe just a few more minutes to wrap things up. I think what we're doing here, you've kickstarted this whole thing, and I think it's novel. I think it's innovative. I think it's just like very bold thing to try because there's obviously a lot of money involved. But I think so far, without like super, like just the first version of it, I think it's been such a success. So many good teams were funded. So many cool, things have been created. I think what you're mentioning right now with how we organize everything, I think Blockful is trying to solve that. I think their kind of mantra is like solving human coordination problem. So they've been super helpful to the DAO. I don't want to name anyone and kind of exclude anyone from the mix, but I think we've had a major success. And I think we're on a good track. I think it will take some time. It'll take a few iterations. We'll mess up somewhere along the way with some stuff. There's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, I think this will evolve into something amazing. And we'll always have you to thank for that as a creator.
Can I give a broader perspective that I think I see?
Go ahead.
So I think like you're talking like, oh, how AI is the current bell of the fed, right? Everyone is like AI. And sort of like blockchain was like went to the sidelines, like blockchain was super important 2 years ago. And we all know that like AI is like the new one, right?
Yeah.
And I do feel that blockchain, because blockchain was so focused on the monetary thing, like I think a lot of the projects are still trying to figure out, okay, what is the problem that we solve? And I think the problem that we solve, and we solve it very well, is something that blockchain as a whole solves since the beginning, is governance, right? Is the ability of having transparent governance in a way that is uncorruptible and transparent and everyone can see. And I think the world needs this because every country you see that we are in a governance crisis, right? In which everyone is like, oh no, like my governance is not working, or it's too corrupt, or the system elects the wrong people, and the way we need to solve that is through more transparent, democratic, and probably open source governance, right? And I think the DAO, like ENS, what I love about the ENS DAO, not only because it works, but because it can work as a model that other people can copy to other DAOs, and which could copy to other areas outside blockchain in the future. Because if you think about it, what the DAO is, the DAO creates a public good, which is a naming service, right? Part of this public good is basically paid by taxes, right? What do you do when you pay the ENS name? You are paying a tax to serve this public good. And then that money goes to a fund, which goes to another, which goes to a DAO, and then there's a vote. And then everyone who is a citizen, right, having an ENS, so having an ENS token is your proof of citizen, what allows you to vote. Having an ENS name is the public goods that you're taxed on, right? And basically, as a citizen, you can vote where that money goes. And we are seeing like what is the best way, what is the method of election, what is the method to count the votes, how do we do it? We vote on everything directly. Do we vote through stewards? Do we select stewards and then the stewards make decisions? Do we make multiple different things, right? And this is Leo, everyone.
Hello.
And my point is that and I think that's my goal, right? I think we are trying to build something that works for everyone, and I think ENS can be a great example of that, because what I want is people to then look back and say, look, ENS does it, right? I pay my taxes on ENS and I can see where the money goes. So why can't my local government do it, right? And I think that's what I hope we can like solve on long term on blockchain.
Yeah,
For
I
little
think we're
Leo, so when he grows up, he'll have like things that work.
absolutely, man, dude. I'm so in tune with your vision, and hopefully it comes true. I guess like we'll see on the countrywide level with countries, governments, and whatnot. But let's figure it out first in our own little world, like blockchains, and I think we're doing a great
Exactly.
job.
It's not crazy. Like Brazil is like the next Brazil is running experiment in which we are putting our currency online in what is basically just Ethereum sidechain, right? They are doing what is just like an Ethereum, like a private Ethereum blockchain, which will be run by multiple institutions in the country, right? And then you could have DAOs inside it, right? There's nothing
Yeah.
that say you couldn't have DAOs inside it, and or you couldn't put like a municipality inside it, which will be running with the Brazilian real. And I think it's exciting. It is interesting, and I think we need to work thinking that look, if we do a great job, other people will copy our good example.
Yeah, there's a ton that can be learned and will be learned from the DAOs. I think there's like a ton of information, valuable stuff, valuable tests and experiments and everything that we're doing that will be essentially kind of, you know, like even more, like make it better. And I think someone will just do a gigantic research at some point, and I think hopefully in the next like decade or so, a couple of decades, countries start adopting this on a like a nationwide levels. But we'll see. That's a very optimistic future that I align with. I'd like to think that will happen as well. And yeah, but I guess we'll see. You don't have to sell me on governance and corruption stuff. Like I don't know if you know, but there's like massive protests in Serbia going on right now. Like there's 6 million people in Serbia, and then like 1.5 million people are out on the streets almost every day or every week. So we're in a very interesting point in time where everything is sort of like everything is it is in its revolution type of phase, like including blockchains and finance and politics and everything. So it's super exciting to live in these times. But anyway, like we're kind of getting off topic here. I don't want to keep you since you are on dead duties, I guess.
Yeah, he always comes like at this time. When he gets home, he comes here to tell me that like time to work is over, and now I'm on daddy daddy time.
You know,
Daddy time.
daddy time. I swear I have the same kind of arrangement with my girlfriend. Anytime, like we have a pretty good understanding. I was like, I work a lot. You have to give me this. But when you come in and tell me that it's enough, I'll stop. So she doesn't bother me or anything. But once he does, I know it's like it's on, and I should stop. But okay, man, thank you so much for joining.
This space, and I think it was very useful for everyone. And I hope that everyone like who's watching like learned something from it.
Absolutely,
and I hope to see lots of new faces and developers working on awesome new projects to make ENS awesome.
Yes, and Namechain is coming. So get ready. The ecosystem is going to be even crazier and more kind of enriched by amazing ecosystem. Thank you, Alex. Really appreciate your time.
Bye bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye. Holy smokes, like that was a lot. I've been on for 2.5 hours. Let's see, do I have anyone else? I'm not, Spence is not reading my messages. So Spence from Meta Governance was supposed to join, but since he is not here, I think we can wrap this. Thank you so much, anyone who tuned in. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you all. I'm Cap. I'm the founder of Namespace. I'm the ENS builder. I've been building on ENS for couple of years now. I think it's our 3rd year and ongoing. And yeah, looking forward to meeting you all somewhere in the ENS ecosystem. Till then, enjoy your weekend and stay blessed. Bye, guys.